All right, so good afternoon, good evening, and welcome. So we're going to start lesson 8.1. Please make sure you guys have your books open to page 491, so that way you can follow along as we talk about adding and subtracting polynomials. So first things first, we have our essential question: what happens when you transfer a negative sign to another equation? This reminder was for while you guys were in school, but here's your assignment. So we have homework. ALEKS is not up to speed yet. So for this very first chapter and for the first lesson for semester 1, or for semester 2, sorry, we are going to make sure we use the book. On 494, we're going to do 1 through 18, okay? It's pretty simple. You guys should be able to go through the homework really fast. It's just a matter of getting it done. All right, so first and foremost, I did have bell work on here, but this is not for our class. We use quizzes. So if you do miss a day of bell work, I need to let me know if you didn't make it, because bell work is going to be extra credit. And so we'll get going from there. Mathematical practices. We're going to start talking about making viable arguments, critiquing reasonings, and we're talking about interpreting parts of an expression. Okay, identifying what a monomial is, which we've already talked about a little bit, what a monomial is. And then writing polynomials in standard form and adding and subtracting. So this should be a fairly straightforward, simple lesson for you guys. I don't see anything major going on, but the key factor is going to be whether or not you guys understand some of the little basics. Okay, so polynomial, binomial, try. I have a lot of this in your notes, so please make sure you guys know what the difference is. And if I don't have it in your notes, please write it down in the margin. If you guys look in your book on 491, it gives you guys a really good explanation of these first 5 definitions. So let's get started. Determine whether each expression is a polynomial. If it is, tell me what kind it is and the degree. Okay, so for example, if you guys look in your book, you can notice that 6x minus 4. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is one monomial. This is 1. So if I have 2 of them, this is actually going to be a binomial. Okay, and then it asks, is this expression a polynomial? It is yes. It's a binomial. And then what is the highest degree? Degree states what is the actual term number here where the coefficient has. Okay, so what a degree is it's the greatest degree on a polynomial. What is the degree on this number that's not written? It is a 1. So the greatest degree for this particular equation is 1. So it'll be yes, this is a polynomial. Okay, it is called a binomial because there's 2 of them, and then the highest degree is 1. So for example, on C, okay, if you guys were to eliminate this, so if you scratch out the D, as you can divide out the D's, right? So you'd have 3 left. So you would have 14 plus 19e3 divided by 5d to the third. The question is this expression a polynomial? The answer to this is no, because of this right here. Okay, you can't have a monomial in the denominator. Okay, it cannot be in there. So this is a no, and we'll just move on. Number B. So how many monomials do you see here? So here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. 3 different aspects. So if there's 3, there's mono, which is 1, bi, which is 2. It's going to be a trinomial. So yes, this is a polynomial, and this is a trinomial. Okay? And then it asks, what is the highest degree? Well, if you're looking at this, what is the highest degree on here? Well, this is a 0 because basically there's nothing there. These are 1s. And then this is x squared. So what's the highest degree? It's 2. And then is this a monomial? The answer is yes. This is a monomial because it's 1 term by itself. Monomial. And the highest degree is 2. Okay, so here's the actual setup. Okay, yes, 1 binomial. This is a no. We showed you why. B, yes. It's the degree is 2, and it is a trinomial because there's 1, 2, 3 pieces to it. This is yes. It's 2 to the degrees, and it's a monomial. Okay, because there's only 1 piece here sitting by itself. So what I want you guys to do is work on the guided practice yourself and answer those 3 questions. All right, hopefully you pause the video. So this is going to be, yes, the degree is 1, and it is a monomial. All right, this one here, you would actually combine these two terms together. So you get negative 3y squared, and then it's going to be plus 2y minus 1. So this is a yes. The highest degree is 2, and this is 1, 2, 3. This is a trinomial. I don't even know what this is, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, if you remember how to solve this, okay, a negative exponent means this drops down to the bottom. So it'd be 10 over x to the 4th like this. So right away, this is just a no, and you move on. Don't even worry about it. And then this one here, how many monomials are sitting here? There's 2 of them, so this is a yes. What is the highest degree? These all have little what? They all have little 1s. So the highest degree is 1, and it is a binomial. Okay, simple setups. Just make sure you guys understand what those concepts mean. If I need to do more practice, I will. The big thing about being in class is that we're able to do the quizzes, and I'm able to check and make sure you guys know your stuff. All right, write these forms in standard form. Now, what standard form is if you guys turn in your books to 492, you'll see an example of standard form. And basically, all you're doing is putting coefficients in order from greatest degree to least degree. Okay, so the greatest degree, so for example, greatest degree here would be, this is a 2, this is a 6, and now this is a 1. It's not written, but we know is there. So what is the greatest degree? Well, it's the 6, so it would be 3x to the 6th. And the next one would be the 2, when it would be set up like that. So then it asks, what is the leading coefficient? Well, the leading coefficient is what is the leading number that begins with this whole thing. And this is the leading coefficient, 3. So your answers, so the leading coefficient is 3. And this is set up in standard form. All right, so let's work on this next one real quick. Okay, so you have to ask yourself on the standard form, how many degrees? All right, how many degrees are here? This would actually be 0. How many degrees are here? This is 1. This is 1, 2. And how many degrees are here? You'd have 1, 2, and 3. Okay, but how it actually will work is your setup would be, if you're adding it up like that, it's going to be a pretty simple straight up addition setup. So my first one here is going to be 8xy squared. Okay, cross that off. Plus, this has got 2 degrees, 6xy plus 5y plus 12. So there's your in standard form, and the leading coefficient is the number that's in front of it, which is number 8. Okay, so when I ask what a leading coefficient is, you have to know what comes in front of standard form. All right, so now what I want you guys to do is practice these. Hopefully you guys understand. Rewrite these in order of degrees from greatest to least. All right, so if we identify these expressions here, we know right away that we have the expression as 4. So we have x to the 4th like this, because that's the largest one. Then it'd be minus 2x squared, so that's number 2 on the list, minus 3x plus 8. So there's our setup for that one. This one here, the greatest degree is going to be 6, so it's going to be negative 7y to the 6th. And we scratch that off. And then the next one would be plus 5y to the 3rd. And then it's going to be minus 2y squared. And then it's going to be plus y plus 10. All right, so you guys could see, hopefully, it goes from 6 to 3 to 2 to 1 to 0. Now, why we say 0? Because
Mr. Tenenbaum or Mr. Ray, please call 8011. Mr. Tenenbaum or Mr. Ray, please call 8011.
What you would have is if you have y to the 0, that technically, remember, is 1. Okay, so this would actually be 10. So that's why you guys need to know why 10 is the last one on the line here. It's just that's how the leading coefficients go. So please make sure that you guys can write in standard form and identify what the leading coefficient is. So this one would be negative 7, and this one it would be 4. Okay. The big key factor is as we move along, you guys are going to be tested on this, and we'll say, what is the leading coefficient? A leading means you're a leader, means you're out in front. Okay, so you always just know that whenever you write an equation out like this in standard form, that you gotta set the degrees up, and that you would just start with these set on the outside. Okay. All right. So next we have here adding polynomials together. This is a pretty simple setup. All right. You're just basically adding two things together. So one way I like to do it, there are multiple different ways of doing this, but kind of a simpler way is you're just combining the like terms that are together. Okay, so you technically could do one of two ways. Okay, you can solve it what's called a vertical method, or solve it just horizontally. So vertically speaking, if you're looking at this on your notes, okay, vertically speaking, you would add, or we'll go horizontal first. Horizontal is just basically adding it up as you see. So I have a 7y squared, right? If you look along here, I have another one here. So this, when you're adding the exponents together, remember you're just saying it's y squared plus y squared plus y squared plus y squared, and then you would have your setup. So this is going to be 12y squared, and you would cross them off like this. Okay, and then you would add these two together. So 2 and then a minus 4 is going to be minus 2y, right? And then you'd have negative 3 plus 2 is a negative 1. So there's that setup like that. All right, so when you can do what's called the vertical method. Vertical would be, you have to rewrite this twice, but it might make it easier for you guys to see. And this is what I'm talking about. 5y squared. Take this and write it right here. Okay, and then we have minus 4y. So it would be minus 4y. And then it would be plus 2. Right? So there's my equations. Now I've lined them up. You can do vertical math at this point. 7 plus 5 is 12y squared. 2 minus 4 is negative 2y. And then this one you get minus 1. We get the same answer, but it makes it more appealing to your eyes. So I want to make sure you guys understand that aspect of it. What works for you doesn't work for everybody. Some people can do the horizontal method, okay, where you just add the two terms because you can see it. But some people need to do the vertical. Okay, so I'll do the vertical again on this one. 7x squared like this, okay? All right, and then it's going to be, I have an x and x, so it's going to be plus 3x, right? And then it's going to be minus 9. So if you do vertically, now you're adding it up. 4 minus 7, negative 3x squared. And then this is going to be plus x, because that's 1. And then it's going to be minus 2. There's your setup, okay? Simple enough. If you do horizontal, all you do is combine like terms going left to right, and you would have the same thing out there. All right, you guys try this guided practice real quick. Make sure you get it going. All right, on this one in particular, guys, simple setups. If I did the vertical math, it'd be negative 3x squared here. I'm going to scratch this bad boy off. Okay, and then it's going to be plus 6x. Scratch that off. Minus 3. Rewrite it, and then simplify it. So this 5 minus 3, which is 2x squared. And then this would be negative 3 plus 6 is plus 3. And then this is going to be plus 1. Okay, so know that aspect as you walk along. It's already set up in standard form for you. So this is how you would finally answer it. 3b, okay, you're adding it together. So I have here, if I did the vertical method on here, a y to the 4th, I have one right there. Negative, whoops, board freaked out a little bit. All right, it'd be minus 2y to the 4th like that. Okay, you scratch that off, and then you would find the next piece. Now, the next piece on here is plus 3y. So if I know that, it would be plus 2y, or it's minus 3y, so I need a plus 2y, and then it's going to be minus 11. Now, what I have left is I have a 2y to the 3rd. I don't have anything over here, so I'm just going to leave it sitting there for a second. So, if you have y, remember there's a 1, so 1 minus 2 is going to be negative y to the 4th. Now, you would drop down this, plus 2y to the 3rd, right, because this is by itself. So let me cross these two off. Then it would be negative 3 plus 2 is minus y, and then you subtract that out, you'd be minus 4. All right, hopefully you guys see the setup of how I did it, and you guys could follow along. Okay, a big key aspect is just doing simple math at this point, And we're still on making sure you guys can do it on 492. Okay, moving on. Subtracting. Subtracting polynomials is a little different. Basically what you're doing is you're taking this piece and you're subtracting this whole piece from here. So it'd be like if I took, vertically method speaking, if I did minus. Now, the one key thing is remember, it's a negative. So you need to transcribe or distribute the negative into the whole equation. So what I mean is that this is a negative 1. Okay, you would distribute this all into here. So you need to rewrite this as minus 9y to the 4th. This is going to be plus 7y, and then it's minus 2y squared. And then what would happen is on the outside here, now this is plus. So now you're adding it together. Okay, but you got to make sure you understand that. This whole thing, so like if I went like this and covered up the rest of this equation, hopefully you guys understand with a negative in front of it, it's like saying negative 1 multiplying everything in there. So you would switch all the signs up. Okay, so knowing that aspect of it, is it easier to solve it? The answer is yes. So I want you to do the distribution first, and then you would go from there. So on this distribution, 6y squared plus 8y to the 4th minus 5y. Okay, now combine the terms up. Okay, so if I have the 4's, so we'll start with 4 because that's the biggest number. I have a negative 9 and an 8, so negative 9 plus 8 is negative 1y to the 4th. Scratch those bad boys off. All right, and I have a y squared. So negative 2 plus 6 is going to be a plus 4y squared. And then this last one is 7 minus 5 is plus 2y. So there's my answer. Now you can get rid of the 1 if you want, and I'm okay with that. Or leave it there. It's up to you, just to know how you wrote it. And you go from there. Next, on the next one here. So let's distribute and do the distribution down here. So this would be saying, if I distribute this negative, all right, let's concentrate on the squared first. So this would be negative now, minus 5n squared. And then, do I have an n to the 3rd? No, I don't. Okay, but what would be my 4n? It would be minus 4n. And then negative and negative is a positive, so it's going to be plus 3. So I'm going to throw the plus 3 out there on the end, just like this. Okay, as you go along, now you would add them together. Okay, so we have, first off, I'm going to put it in standard form right off the bat. Highest exponent is 11n to the 3rd. So I'm going to start with that. Now the squares. 6 minus 5 is positive n squared. And then it would be the n's. 2 minus 4, negative 2n. And then lastly, it's plus 3. Okay, hopefully you guys understand that concept. And you see, you can move and ebb and flow with the standard form as you go. You don't have to wait for me or to take numerous steps. I want you to move faster in the process. Now, if you're struggling with this, in class, I'll make sure we do multiple more examples and we can go from there. So you guys try first, do the distribution, and then you go from there. All right, one key aspect with this distribution, okay, as you guys go along is if you want to switch the signs while it's in here, you still can. And what I mean by that is you still got to distribute, okay, but you know what you're doing is this is going to be negative x squared minus 5x to the 3rd, and then this is going to be a plus 2x to the 4th. All right, so that's the first thing we do is distribute. Now you can combine the terms. So we'll start with the 4 because that's the biggest exponent. So negative x, so it'd be negative 1 plus 2 is 1. So that would be x to the 4th. All right, and then your thirds, so it'd be 3 minus 5, which is negative 2. And then lastly, it'd be negative 2, it'd be 2 minus 1, which would be positive x squared. Okay, there's your setup on that one. This one here, you do the same thing. Distribute the negative across the board. This is going to be a plus. This is going to be a plus. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a minus. So if I did that setup, x to the 3rd. So I have 4 plus 2 now. It's going to be 6x to the 3rd. You get rid of these. And then x squared is next. So I got negative 3 plus or minus. So that's a minus now. So it's negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4. And then lastly, it would be, I have an x squared, so that's by itself. And then if you have minus 4 plus 2, it's going to be minus 2. Okay, so there's your setup. Hopefully you guys got that, and you guys can understand how we're moving these monomials around. Okay, last thing is kind of a real world situation. Okay, so what you want to do is talking about total sales of toys and V in video games. Okay, so what they want to know is R is traditional toys. So what you're going to do is take out and actually subtract these two from together. So if you were to subtract these, you would put a little minus sign here. You know that if you subtract your total sales, okay, if you subtract T, so the amount of totally sold, is this one. And then if you subtract R from it, so let me reverse that substance here, okay? You reverse and you subtract R from it, what should you get? You should get the actual total sales of T, okay? So sales of video games is not up here. That's what we're trying to do. So what you want to do is you're going to actually subtract it. So I'm going to have to rewrite this because I'm not that smart. So 4n to the third, okay, and it's going to be minus 1.85n squared plus 4.4n plus 22.6. Okay, so I rewrote it just so it's the same, but because I'm going to subtract the bottom. So if I'm subtracting this equation, know that this now is going to be negative 0.46n to the third. Negative and negative is positive, plus 1.9 squared, just like that. Negative and a positive is minus 3n, and then it's going to be minus 19. Okay, and then you just simplify, right? So if I simplify this, it would be negative 0.01 n to the third. And then it's going to be, if this is 0.85, it's going to be plus 0.05 n squared. And then it's going to be plus 1.4 n. And then lastly, we would be, what is 22.6 minus 19? That's going to be plus 3.6. 20, 21, 22. Yep. All right, so now we have our equation. This is what V equals. Now it says, using the equation, predict the same amount of video games sold in the year 2022. Well, my equation says N equals 2010. So how many years is that? N equals 12. So if N equals 12, you would just type this in your calculator. All right, and it would be 12 to the third like this. Squared plus 1.412 plus 30.6. All right, you put that in, ladies and gentlemen, and you hit enter on your calculator, and you should get your result. So, for example, if I go negative, oops, let me turn this back on. All right, if I go to my calculator here, struggle is real with it. All right, 12 to the power of 4, or to the power of 3. Okay, and then I multiply that by negative 0.01. I end up with, so this is negative 17.28. Okay, and then if I multiply 12 to the power of 2, and then times that by 0.05, it would be, whoops, times, all right, you get plus 7.2. And then if you multiply this out, you guys get the drift, how you would get. And what you're looking at is it would represent the number of sales in billions of dollars, okay? So you just keep working along on here. So 1.4 times 12 is 16.8, and then it's plus 3.6. So if I added all that together, plus 3.6 plus 7.2 minus 17.28, you should end up with an answer of, and this is going to be V equals 10.32. And this is $10.32 billion. So that's how that's the setup for that, okay? Make sure you guys can actually do both. I need you to be able to rewrite an equation, solve it, and then fill in the prediction to see if you guys can do it. All right, last thing here is this real world example. Please work on this guided practice. Same thing. Cost of something, subtracted it from the other thing. All right, so on this equation, ladies and gentlemen, the total cost, so the profit of business is found by subtracting the cost of the product from the amount it earns. So what's ironic is that this needs to be, once again, this would have to be put down below. So it would be minus 100x squared minus 500x plus 300. Okay, and what I'm doing is I'm rewriting this equation and subtracting it from s. I'm just leaving the sentence in between. So it would be 50x squared, then it would be minus 50x plus 500, right? So there's your equation. Simple setup, right? And look, got it right. So use the equation, 50x squared is what we got, minus 50x plus 500 to predict the profit if 30 items were produced and sold. So what it's trying to do is that the cost of the product, you would plug in, X is the number of items produced. So if you're producing and selling 30 items, okay, you would just plug in 30 here in the equation, and you get your profit. All right, plug in 30 for X, and you go from there. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this one. So this is simple addition. So we're working on adding and subtracting polynomials. As we move on, we're going to multiply next, and then we're going to multiply a polynomial by a monomial, and then we're going to multiply some big ones together. And I'll show you some of the tricks and trades that Mr. Olson kind of shared with me that I'll share with you. In the meantime, if you have any questions, do the homework. Remember, it's on page 494, and it's going to be 1 through 18. Okay, simple enough. Make sure you guys get it done. Hand it in to me on time, please. And then we will start ALEKS probably later next week. In the meantime, if you have any questions, shoot me an email or send me a message on Remind. In the meantime, have a great night.